Welcome to Blackbriar Gaming. Today we have another article for the third day in a row dropping for Legions Imperialis, and I did get the S on Legions that time. I'm pretty chuffed with myself. So today we have a bit of a look at the Solar Auxilia, so the fire support and remote control bombs for the Solar Auxilia. It talks a bit about the Legions, they're important, but also there's a whole bunch of these humans, base humans, what filth, in cool armor, kicking around, doing things. And what do they bring to the table? Well, they bring a whole bunch of firepower. But before I talk about the Solar, there's something far more important here that we should be talking about, and that is, of course, what happens at the end of this article. So let's just scroll on down. Let's just scroll. We're going to keep scrolling. We're going to look at all these pretty little things here. Oh, little Cyclops, how cute. Release update. That's the actual important part of this article, not mentioned in the title. That's fun. It was on a little snippet on the Warhammer community site, which was interesting. A little aside, little tile you could click on separate to this article that did have a release update. So they're not trying to hide the news, but certainly they're not singing it from the rafters. And this is why the release update is not that it's releasing sooner or that we're going to get so many boxes we won't know what to do with ourselves. No, the release update, if we just scroll a little further down, while we had initially hoped to release Legions Imperialis in August, the release date will now be a little later in the year. Don't worry, you'll be commanding a tiny legion of troops to victory very soon. Very soon. What does very soon mean? So it's delayed. I'm not shocked. August always seemed so hopeful, so optimistic. I don't know what they were thinking. Of course, we've just had... So, look, here's the reason why. Here's why I think they just can't get enough plastic sprues made at the moment. 40k absolutely dominated this year. We had the Leviathan box drop, which I still have sitting in a cupboard doing absolutely nothing, but I had to buy it because it's such a good box. But there was so much plastic in that box, and they had to make so many of those sets that it absolutely dominated their production. What's the word I'm looking for here? Production. That'll do. Absolutely dominated their production cycle. That's what I'm looking for months. So many pieces of stock were just left to wither on the vine. There's lots of stuff out of stock at the moment because GW put all of their effort towards producing as many Leviathan box set as they could. And honestly, I'm glad they did. I think that was really important. I don't think they created too many. It's not like Age of Sigmar, I think 2nd edition, I remember that hitting and just sitting in the stores, so many boxes that no one wanted to buy. No, the Leviathan box set was so very popular, and I know that a lot of third-party stores weren't getting as much as they wanted, even with GW putting all of their effort towards making as many boxes as possible. So that's what happened. I dare say production of Legions Imperialis suffered because of Leviathan just taking the absolute limelight, and here we are. So it looks like they've delayed it. It'll come out later in the year, very soon. That implies to me certainly September, maybe October at the latest. If this came in December, frankly, I'd be shocked. We've got the Old World potentially coming out later in the year, which would conflict as well. Maybe that gets delayed now. I would not be shocked at all. Once again, all of this seemed so optimistic. GW usually are pretty good with their big releases. Very rarely do box kits like this get delayed, little bits and pieces sometimes, but a delay like this, I can't remember the last time we've seen it, and maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but to delay this is a pretty serious move, and it's obvious that they couldn't get enough boxes produced, they couldn't get them distributed, there's all kind of supply chain issues going on in the world at the moment. Not as bad as it was, but still, they're catching up. They're still catching up. So they've delayed it. It is disappointing. Do I have other things I could be doing? You betcha. Star Wars Shatterpoint, actually, if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. I'm loving that. But even in regard to an epic scale war game coming out, are there other things I could be doing? And the answer is yes. So I want to make a 5th Legion force. What could I be doing with my time? I could be getting some Thunderhawks. I could be getting some Xiphon. We already have miniatures for this, right? I could be getting a box of Thunderhawk, well, a Thunderhawk, maybe a couple, now that we know the rules for those. I could be getting a box of Xiphons, and I could be painting those up. I wouldn't be sticking them to bases, just quickly, because the bases for them will change when this game comes out. Otherwise, Are you planning on running some Titans? Have you not got them yet? Go grab some Titans. People, do not stick them to the bases, except very, very lightly maybe to paint them, and get those painted up. And you know what? You're prepping. You're prepping for Legions Imperialis. You don't need the rules to know you're going to want to have Knights, you're going to want to have Titans, you're going to want to have aircraft. Think about the Legion you want to build coming out. Think about the kind of support that fits it thematically, and start to think about the narrative of your Legion, and start to build those supporting units while we wait to just curb your disappointment and make sure you've got something to do in the meantime. In regards to 3D printing, I've seen a bunch of people starting. I've got one, right? I certainly don't frown upon it. I've seen a bunch of people starting to 3D print units for this game because they just can't wait. My recommendation would be to just hold off a little longer. In particular, the tanks. If you're doing infantry and you're not doing Mark 6, you can kind of do what you want, right? Because all of your infantry maybe is going to be that different-ish scale. But even saying then, you don't know exactly what this scale looks like. Tanks in particular, you're going to want to run the Predators out of this box, and the Sakarans probably. So you're going to want anything you 3D print to match the scale of the vehicles in the box. And if you print a bunch of rhinos now, which I saw someone doing on Facebook yesterday, if this box then comes out and your rhinos are a few mils smaller than the chassis of that Predator there, you're gonna know. And it's gonna look a little silly. You might not care. Who cares? A couple of mil here, a couple of mil there. I personally will be waiting until I've got these in hand before I try any 3D printing shenanigans, so I can scale them exactly correctly to what's in the box. So my focus, I think, will be towards aircraft, Titans, Knights. And I would recommend, if you cannot wait, if this delay is just an absolute kick in the guts to you, my advice would be focus on those, get them painted up so that when the box drops, you are ahead of the game and ready to go. So that's the delay. It is what it is. Let's go up and just quickly look at the Solar while we're here. I'm not a huge fan of Solar Auxilia, but I have a mate, the one and only Dean Morris. You've heard about him before if you're a fan of this channel. He has a big Solar army and will likely get into tiny Solar. So I'll probably split the box with him, is what that looks like. He'll take the Solar half, I'll take the Legion half. So here we are. Let's look at what we're getting. We've gone all the way up. We didn't need to. We are getting the Solar Auxilia support box. So we got a Legion support box already, but this is the Solar version. So what are we getting in it? Well, we're getting 12 Rapier batteries. That's pretty cool. 4 are outfitted with quad launchers, another 4 with laser destroyers. Very good. And this is the fun part. 4 with mole mortars. That's fun. We're just going to see, I think, a lot of weapons and a lot of units used in this game that just never see play in Heresy. For whatever reasons, maybe their rules are a bit lackluster, maybe they're an awkward miniature, maybe they're too expensive, but I just feel Legions Imperialis, just epic Heresy, is going to give us some units that we can play around with and have fun with that we just never had before, and that's awesome. So here's a bunch of Rapiers, that's cool. Tarantulas, very good. Don't they look great? Love the missile one in particular. These are going to look great, kind of lined up. Just stuff them into a building, right? Into some ruins, and just wreak havoc with them, and then have them do so very little. Or maybe lots. I don't know. Wait and see. The las cannons in particular have quite a long range in this game compared to other things. And lastly, we have the Cyclops demolition vehicles. These are cute. I think you get 4 of these little guys, and they're not that little. They're coming up to maybe the midriff of a human-sized figure. So the little Cyclops guys there, you get 4 of them. You get 12 of the tarantulas, and you get 12 of your rapiers. So a nice meaty box. It'll be interesting to see how much. I'm just scrolling all over the place. A box like this costs. It's got 40 miniatures, right? It's got 28 bases. It's epic scale. That's cool. I see a box like this. I'd be very surprised if GW want to make you pay less than $100 for this, which hurts, right? These are tiny things. If you printed them yourself, you'd be looking at about $4 worth of resin, perhaps. But it'll be interesting. They love that $100 price point, and I'm talking Australian dollary dues here. That $100 price point for a box feels good to them. It makes them make the kind of profit they want when it comes to shipping. So I'd be very surprised if a support box like this cost less than $100, maybe around that 80 price point. But certainly if you're expecting to pick something like this up for 40, 50 bucks, you will be sorely disappointed. I don't think this will be cheap. We'll wait and see. Wait and see what it looks like. The price point, I think, will be the big winner or loser on this one because people have certain expectations around epic scale. So that's it. That's it for the article for today. All I wanted to talk about on that one, the delays is obviously the big, not so exciting news. There is one other piece I wanted to talk about, and that's some leaks that we've been seeing. So I've only seen, I haven't been hunting them. They popped up in a chat that I'm in. A couple of little pictures of some units and their stats that we should be expecting. So yesterday I talked about why there are only 2 Terminator bases if a detachment has a minimum of 4. Well, those leaks actually give the hint, and look, an article may have told me otherwise and I just wasn't reading closely enough, but you can attach Terminators and assault squads, it seems, to your tactical formations. So that's what that looks like there. That's why they've done it. So that will form part of a kind of joint tactical, a combined, if you will, tactical detachment. In regards to what else we saw in the leaks, it kind of spells out lots of units that we're going to see coming. Interestingly, in those leaks, there were not land speeders and there were not jet bikes. Now, apparently, the leaks came out a few weeks ago. I didn't see them then. I certainly didn't hear about them. And it's interesting that the information we have that kind of proves them right or wrong only came out yesterday, and I only saw the leaks yesterday, but people are saying they came out a while ago, so that would mean they're probably legit. But my concern is that I didn't see land raiders, I didn't see land speeders, and I didn't see jet bikes on them. So instantly, I think the leaks are either quite limited, and it's not the full units, because surely we're going to see those things. In that case, maybe the leaks aren't correct at all. If people are, whoever made them forgot to put those things on them, I'm not sure. Surely it doesn't mean we won't be getting land speeders and jet bikes, because they've mentioned jet bikes already in an article. I think that was maybe even yesterday's article, maybe the day before. Either way, I've seen the word jet bikes in an article. It's got to be coming, not in the leaks. Makes me question them, whether they're correct or not. But interesting to look at in the meantime. Anyway, I'm not gonna throw them up because I don't want to cause trouble. But go find them if you're keen, and if you're thirsty for some Imperialis information. Now that this has been delayed, it just gives a bit of an overview of some of the units. But that is all. That brings us to the end of our Heresy chats for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the delay, whether you're extremely disappointed, whether you needed this in August, or whether it all just felt a bit rushed with GW dropping this, a month after they dropped 40k 10th edition. It's just pretty wild. Just slow down, GW, take a breath, I personally, I'm okay with it is the wrong word. It is a bit disappointing because I would love to get the rulebook, especially in my hands. But do I have a lot of stuff I could be going on with in the meantime? You betcha. I have unpainted miniatures staring at me from my shelf from different game systems. I've got the Leviathan box just sitting in my cupboard, begging me to paint it and even put it together. So that's all. Importantly, make sure to keep rolling those dice and getting hyped for Heresy.